So after the movie's all said and done, what did Elmer Leonard think of your adaptation of Rum Punch?
Oh, what do you think of the movie?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I've never talked to him since I made the movie. Actually, to tell you the truth, I watched your film, all right, to find out, make sure he liked it. No, I just talked to him about the script and he came and visited the set, but I actually never really saw him after that. You know, so it was like, actually, I was like, no, what am I talking about? He was at the press junket, but he never. You know, I didn't like, oh, what did you think about the movie? All right, I took it that he kind of liked it, but actually, it was more like I've watched the interviews on there to like, oh, I guess he liked it because he seems to be saying nice things about it.
How do you think that this movie helped get him back into the world of acting again?
Well, I think what it did for Robert Forster in like a really great way was it just reminded people that he was there. You know, he hadn't retired; he was still working and everything, and like and people in the low-budget monster movie, Uncle Sam, Maniac Cop 5, all right, a world, they knew who he was and were using him. Fred Williamson was using him, all right, he wasn't on, he wasn't, not only was he not on the A-list, he wasn't on the B-list, he wasn't even on the C-list, all right, people just, forgot about him, all right, now they haven't forgot about him, now they know he's out there, and he's been working in big movies, and he's like, he did this movie, this David Mamet movie, Houseboat, and he actually started in this movie called Diamond Man. That's just really terrific. He was wonderful in it. But like he's like doing in big films. He was in the Psycho remake. He was in the Simon Oakland part in that. He was in the Rear Window remake, the Wendell Corey part in that. And he's like starring. He's like the leading man in all these like independent films and stuff. And it's just great. It's just really, really, really cool for him. It's like now he's working. He's doing fantastic. It was actually kind of cool. After he'd seen the movie, I talked to Steven Spielberg, and he goes, "Man, that Robert Forster was fantastic, man. You brought him back in a really wonderful way. It was like, what a surprise. It was so terrific, And it's like, well, it wasn't that much of a surprise to me. I knew he would be good in it. He just had the opportunity. But it just kind of shows you how, actors haven't lost their chops. They haven't lost their power. They just, all of a sudden, these group of casting directors that are the big casting directors don't know who, have forgotten about him, don't know who he is. They're not on anybody's list, all right? And so now all of a sudden, but you give him a part, you show that he can sign, and all of a sudden he's on the list again. That was actually one of the coolest things, because that really is how most movies get cast, is there's this list that studios have, all the casting directors have, and it's the same list, all right, of the same people. And it was really funny. Like the first time a friend of mine who was trying to make a movie, William Morris, sent them a list of actors of under 30, over 40, that kind of thing. And I was like going through it for this guy's project, just looking at it, who they were suggesting, and there was Robert Forster on the list, and that like made me feel really good because okay, now he's officially back on. I mean, it's tangible. I'm holding the list in my hand, and there he is now. And he wasn't there last year, so that was really cool.
So now, were you surprised with all the critical acclaim that Robert got off that movie and the fact that he's nominated for an Academy Award?
Well, I wasn't surprised about the critical acclaim because he was wonderful. How could they say anything bad about his performance? All right, and there also is that kind of cool thing of comebacks are fun. Because there is this aspect of, because actors get hot for a certain period of time. I'm talking about character actors too. All right, for a period of 5 or 6 years. So it's like, you go to movies and you keep seeing like, the same actors, especially character actors. Character actors can do 6 movies a year. All right. So you keep seeing the same people in the same movies all the time. All right. Now, if I have that problem and you have that problem, critics really have that problem, and they're just seeing the same people over and over and over again. And so to see somebody, and critics might have, like a touch more sense about film history or something like that, so they might have remembered who Robert Forster is. Oh yeah, Medium Cool, all right, or oh yeah, Banyan. So it's like, or Stalking Moon or whatever, and so it's like, it's kind of fun. They're gonna say, oh wow, and this is fresh, and this is, I haven't seen that guy play this role. It's not Gene Hackman playing it for the 9th time this year, and so. It's it's cool. I expected that, all right, but it was really funny because I wanted Robert to get like an Oscar nomination, but it was funny because I really wanted Pam and Sam and Robert in particular to get Oscar nominations, all right, or to get acclaim and awards and everything like that. And so Pam and Sam both got nominated for a Golden Globe, all right. So I was really happy for them. Oh man, Robert Forster got left behind, and there was this kind of aspect. He's the one that needed it the most, of the three, all right. And so then the SAG Awards came out, and Pam and Sam got nominated for the SAG Awards, and Robert didn't get nominated. So I just figured, okay, Robert's not going to get the nominations. It's going to be the Pam and Sam show, all right. And then Pam and Sam didn't get nominated for an Oscar, and Robert did. And I was shocked by that. I was really surprised. And it was weird because I was really happy Robert got nominated for an Oscar, but I was really sad that Pam didn't get nominated. I said that Sam didn't either, but it was Sam's a big player. If he's not here this year, he'll be there next year. But it's I really wanted Pam to be the first black actress to ever win an Academy Award, and the fact that she didn't even get nominated, just made me have to I don't know, maybe Spike Lee's right, man. Who was better than her that year? I don't know. So.
Going back to your Spielberg comment, you have reinvented three people's careers, but you don't hear of other directors going out on the limb for that.
Yeah, I don't really. It's not like, that is my intention, setting out to, people do come up to me, who are you going to bring back next time? Who's next on the radar? Who's next on the list? And I'm not coming from that place, all right? I'm just coming from, I'm trying to cast the best actors or the coolest actors in whatever role, all right? And I'm just not using, the hot star list in order to do it. And the thing about it is, if somebody's if an actor is it's you look at a given role and you could say, okay, Gene Hackman could play it, or Paul Newman could play it, or Morgan Freeman could play it, all right, and something like that. And I'm not against those guys; they're fantastic, all right. And if Gene Hackman is the best person to play the role, then I would want Gene Hackman. I wrote a lot of the dialogue for Crimson Tide, and it was, he has said my dialogue as wonderful as anyone's ever said my dialogue. He's fantastic. It was just a dream, to go to the Cinerama Dome and watch Crimson Tide and see Gene Hackman do my stuff. All right, but yeah, there's Morgan Freeman, and yeah, there's Gene Hackman, and there's Paul Newman, but there's also John Saxon, all right? There's also David Carradine, all right? There's also Michael Parks. There's also a lot of really, really cool, terrific actors, all right? And I am fortunate enough to be in a situation that I can cast one of those guys, all right? And give them that part, give them, the situation to shine and, show what they got. And the thing is, it's and the thing is, I'm not coming from I'm trying to get people in that are going to bring people in on that Friday that it opens, but for the genre fans, for the film fans, for the film buffs, the Ain't It Cool News group and everything. David Carradine is as exciting as Gene Hackman in something, or Paul Newman, or anybody.
Sam, he was a great actor with Pulp Fiction, but a lot of the world didn't know him. He really became everyone's focus with that movie, and then you cast him again in Jackie Brightman. What is it about Sam that he just glows in your movie?
Well, Sam is like a theater dog, all right? Sam is Sam is a actor, all right? I always work with actors, but he's a real actor. It was he came out of the womb an actor, all right? And went to school to study for acting, and then boom, immediately hit theater, all right? And was understudies and summer stock and repertory theater and everything. He is a working actor. That's what he does, all right? And other actors, they're actors, and they also have hobbies, and it's pretty much Sam's hobby, he plays golf, but other than that, he's an actor, and that's what he does. And actually he always jokes about he likes you going and doing a movie, he goes, I like being on the first day. You know, I like to do the first day of the movie. I like to kick ass first day off the bat. You know, and Sam shows up and he knows his lines. You know, and he's just a real pro. And the thing is, Sam was wonderful in tons of movies before Pulp Fiction. But the thing is actually really, I mean, it's like, Spike Lee's the one who really kind of brought Sam out in a big way. Before Spike started casting him in movies, I think Sam's first movie where he actually had something to do was Ragtime. All right, but before that, it's like Sam was like doing Under Fives. You look at that opening sequence in Sea of Love. You'll see Sam in there, a couple lines in there. All right, you would see Sam in he's the guy robbing the hamburger stand in Coming to America. Shows up for 2 minutes. Has like a little scene like that. And he was always doing episodic, along with theater. He's always doing episodic television shows and stuff. He used to joke that every year he would go to Chicago so Robert Urlich could kick his ass, at Spencer for Hire. He was like, every season you'd go there, get his ass kicked by Robert Urlich, and they call him back again next season. Okay, Sam, we get another part for you could get beat up by Spencer. Okay, great. And so here's this powerhouse. It wasn't having any luck in films. And then, Spike cast him in a couple movies, and then he, in particularly in Jungle Fever, and that set him off. And then, he was doing stuff, and then along came Pulp Fiction. And there's just, I've said it before, Lawrence has said it before, Sam has said it before, but you can't really quite say it enough. It's, nobody quite says my dialogue the way Sam does. Now, there's other actors that do it, and they can do it as good in their way as Sam does. All right, but there's an aspect to my dialogue, and I never try to hit on it. It's just all subconscious, it all happens. But there's an aspect to my dialogue that is, I don't want to call it poetry, but there is a relation to poetry. It's not songwriting, but there is a relation to songwriting. It's not rap, but there is relation to rap. It's about rhythm, and it's not soliloquies, but it has a relationship to soliloquies. All right, it's about rhythm and cadence, and there's a singing aspect, not to everything I write, but definitely the stuff I give to Sam. There is, and Sam sings my dialogue. I mean, it's just no other way to say it. He turns it into the poetry that it was always meant to be. I'm not trying to be highfalutin by saying that. It's just, but he brings the music out in it in just this special way that he owns. And it's and the character of Jules was just wonderful. And then with, Ordell, I think, we just kicked it up even more. It's like, it's like Ordell was not better than Jules, but it's like, he's he manages to be bigger and more realer at the exact same time. There's more of a, he's scarier than Jules, but he's more human at the same time. He's less of like he's less of a, this cool stylized thing, and more of just like this real guy, as big as he is. There's a real aspect to him, and I just love the way as the movie goes on, he turns into a monster. It's like he's very he's very entertaining and affable and funny and scary in the film at the beginning. But by the end, when he's like with Robert Forster and he's driving in the car and he's his hair's down and stuff, and that was all Sam's idea, the whole thing of the long hair and the goatee, the whole kind of samurai, a mad kung fu priest on the mountain look that he had. That was all Sam came up with that, and it was just terrific. It just made it. And and Sam had no problem going with like the costumes that he had, which was really funny because it was like like the white people on the set, like the costume designer, and they go, "Is this too bold? Is this whatever?" And it's like me and Sam were explaining, "No, you don't understand. All right, you're black and you're dressing, and you know, the Kangol hat, the red Kangol hat, and the red shirt and the red shoes. It's like, no, if the colors don't match, you're too poor. All right, you don't got enough money to make the shit match. All right, you know, your shit's out of line. All right, no, it's all lime green. It's all beige. And that's, you know, that's the way that's the look of it. That's the way you go down. Now, if you have the wrong color Kangol, you don't be mixing colors. No, it's about one color. You know, it's about matching. And you know, and so like so he was keeping the other people honest as far as that stuff was concerned. But no, he was just wonderful. But God, by the end of the movie, when he's in the car with Robert Forster, and he's saying, if I go in there, I see anybody, I'm gonna shoot you first, and then I'm gonna kill her, and then I'm gonna still get my money. He's scary. I mean, he's like a monster in a monster movie by that point. But he's a human monster. You see where he's coming from. You almost even feel a little sorry for Ordell, because that is his money. That's his money. I mean, Pam is stealing the money from him. She doesn't earn that money. That money's not owed to her. She doesn't deserve it. He's worked his ass off. We've watched him put every brick into place to make his little stash. You know, one of the things that's in the, not in the movie, but it's it was again a scene I wrote that I ended up taking out before the type stage, back in the handwritten stage, is, you know, the whole idea is like, you know, okay, I'm gonna get my $1 million and I'm out. All right. Now, $1 million really doesn't go that far anymore, as far as like, okay, I'm gonna live the rest of my life. All right. And like De Niro's character brought that up to him at one point and goes, you know, $1 million doesn't go that far. He goes, in the Philippines it does. I'm gonna make that $1 million. I'm gonna move to the Philippines. Yeah, you pay motherfucker. You know, you get a butler. You know, 5 cents an hour. You know, shit. I'll live there forever. Spend the rest of my life spending in the Philippines. So actually, that was Ordell's plan. He's gonna make his $1 million. He's gonna move to the Philippines, and I live like fucking Elvis.
That never
Never made it from the handwritten stage. From the handwritten stage, never made it to the type stage.
Sam working with Robert De Niro. Sam went in his interviews like so funny and humble, and working with Robert De Niro.
Well, it's funny though, because it's like, you know, Sam is actually usually never humble. All right, you know, he gives you, you know, you have to catch him. It's actually quite wonderful. He'll have a humble moment. All right, because it's part of Sam's bravado. All right, he wasn't going to let De Niro know. All right, that like, wow, you know, and it's like, and also in playing Ordell, you know, he's full of all of his bravado, like, ha ha ha, you know, all that stuff. All right, so he's got that going on. All right, but it was one. It's like, you know, all of a sudden, it'll peek through. All right, where it's like Sam's doing the part, you know, he's doing his first scene with De Niro. We're at the bar and they're talking. He's like, he's doing his thing, and then at some point, you know, he's thinking about. He really was thinking about Ordell. He's not thinking about De Niro in that scene. But then at some point in the scene, he's like, I'm talking to Robert De Niro. I'm acting with Robert De Niro. How cool is it? Look, De Niro's listening to me. It's my scene. You know, and you know, all of a sudden, you know, he's like, you know, remembering watching Mean Streets. He's remembering watching Goodfellas. All right. He was like, this is my year. This has been happening, because he was like doing Sphere with Dustin Hoffman at the time. So he's like literally traveling from set, working with Dustin Hoffman to working with Robert De Niro. And he said the same thing happened with Pam Grier. You know, and you know, and to tell you the truth, that was the one that actually that like, you know, it like brings back the most young memories, as far as like sitting in a movie theater and watching this. And you know, he said that it was really cool, because it's like, you know, every once in a while, you know, Sam will let you like inside, and, you know, tell you about those moments, and it was really kind of cool, because you know, his thing is, you know, he's Ordell. And, you know, Sam's not too far from Ordell anyway, all right? So it's like, you know, Sam's always kind of full of bravado. But when we did the rehearsal, and they're doing the, you know, the scene where he puts his hands around her neck, he said he just had this flash. He goes, oh, my God, I'm choking coffee. I got my hands. This is pretty goddamn cool. That's coffee. I'm looking in coffee's eyes. You know, and it's just like little moments like that that's really cool, that, like, you know, it's like, one is cool, but also there's moments like that let you know how far you've come. You know, he remembers being in a theater, or, you know, in where he's from, like North Carolina or wherever, watching Coffee in a theater and thinking about, I'd like to be one of those guys in this movie. I'd like to be up on that screen. All right, and now here he is. All right, and so it's like moments like that that let you know, wow, I've made it. Here's a ruler to see where I was and now where I am. But but also say one more thing about Sam that was just really, really, really terrific is, that's about Pam Grier. Yeah, that's about Dustin Hoffman. That's about Robert De Niro. But it's not, Sam has a list like mine, and Sam's list isn't just the hot list either. All right. And Sam has similar we grew up watching a lot of the same movies, so our list of cool actors and hero actors and magic movie moments that we've had in the theaters, are fairly similar. All right. So when we were doing Pulp Fiction, the Japanese kung fu actor Sonny Chiba, who starred in many, many movies, but in particular known in America for the Street Fighter series, the first movie ever rated X for violence. All right, the incredible Sonny Chiba. All right, Sonny Chiba came and visited the set of Pulp Fiction because I've become friends with him, going to Japan and doing, my press junket stuff, and I wanted to meet Sonny Chiba. All right, so Sonny visits America, and I'm shooting Pulp Fiction, so he goes on the set, and it was great because Sam was just like, walked over. He was like doing a scene. He was doing the scene where he kills Brett. He's doing the Ezekiel speech. All right. And he literally walks over to, like Sonny Chiba. He's got his Jerry Curl wig on and he's got the black suit on. And he just walks over and sees Sonny Chiba. Mr. Chiba, it is an honor to make your acquaintance. I am such a true fan of your work. And it was just really, really, really great to see Sam give it over to him like that. But the same thing on Jackie Brown. When we were doing the scene in the courtroom, and then there's the actor, Sid Haig, who plays the judge. Now, if you grew up watching blaxploitation movies, you totally know who Sid Haig is. I mean, Sid Haig is like, almost like was sort of like the Sam Jackson, actually, to tell you the truth, all right, of a lot of exploitation movies. He's in most of Pam. He was in most of her women in prison movies. He's in Black Mama, White Mama. He was in Big Birdcage, Big Dollhouse, all right, as well as he's in Coffee. He's in Foxy Brown. They're like a little team, actually. And so Sid Haig had to be in the movie. All right? I had to put Sid Haig in, and it was like kind of because he was always playing a nefarious character, so it was great to cast him as a judge, and actually just remember like the first time, Pam hadn't seen him in a long time, and so she shows up in her county blues, all right, waiting to be like arraigned, all right, so she's in the witness box there, and all of a sudden Sid, all right, not like an actor coming in, Sid like enters the set in his judge robes, or he doesn't say hello to anybody, he just like, steps into the box, all right, and Pam's just like, and it was really, really cool. Now, and it was just I loved Sid Haig. It was great, and he hadn't worked in a long time, so it was really, really cool. Anyway, Sam's in the scene. He's in the back of the courtroom, watching the whole proceedings, and it was so cool because now Sam couldn't be more on the top of his game. He's a huge star, and this is his thing, and he totally knows who Sid Haig is, loves Sid Haig, and even knows the similarity between like their two styles. You see what I'm talking about? Look at those movies I mentioned, all right, and think about Sam Jackson. Oh God, he kind of was kind of like a Sam kind of character, like in the early '70s. And Sam literally walked over to him, and it was just gave him so much respect, just like just tons of respect, and it's actor to actor, and it was just like, Mr. Haig, I just want you to know it is an honor to be in a scene with you. I have admired your work for many years, and it's a pleasure. It is a pleasure to be in the same scene with you, and it was gratifying. It was just a wonderful. It was one of my favorite moments of Jackie Brown, actually. I had wonderful moments in Jackie Brown, but that was one of my favorite ones. Was Sam doing that for Sid?
Another actor we've never really talked about, not even in the piece, but Chris Tucker, because he never did an interview. What did you think of his performance?
Oh man, Chris is amazing in the movie. Chris is great. I mean, I was like talking to the film critic of the New York Times, Elvis Mitchell, and there's an aspect about the whole Beaumont section, everything involving Beaumont. All right, you know, from Sam going to Robert Forster's office to bail Beaumont out, to then him going to Beaumont and then killing Beaumont, and then showing De Niro Beaumont's body. All right, and kind of wrapping it all up. You know, you're gonna do what you need to do. You know, that's almost like a little movie unto itself. You know, it's almost like the whole movie of Jackie Brown in fast forward. All right, everything that happens to Jackie Brown, we can always reference what happened to Beaumont. And so it's like this little kind of thing unto itself. And the critic of the New York Times, Elvis Mitchell, says, he goes like, I think that's your best work. I think the best thing you've ever done is the Beaumont section in Jackie Brown. I think that's your finest work. And it's I like that. I like that sequence a lot, actually. I think it's really, really cool. And Chris is wonderful in it. In fact, it was really cool because it was a combination. It was funny because Chris normally improvises his dialogue, all right, in his movies. All right, just like the page is like a guide. All right, you know, there's a few plot things in there he's got to get across, but after that, he's just doing it all. And I remember when he came down to do rehearsal, it was really neat because you know, he was like, you know, normally I make my own shit up, but like your shit's so good, I'm gonna like learn it. I'm gonna do it because your shit's good. Now, having said that, he completely did what I wrote, and then just threw in a couple of lines that are the funniest lines in the piece. It's so funny, all right, you know, and they're not even like, they're hysterical jokes, but they're not jokes. They're just like the things he would say, you know, the things he would fill in. A favorite line in that whole speech, and it's like they just do nothing but talk. But my favorite line of that speech is like, you catch a nigga off guard with this shit, all right? I piss my pants every time he says that, all right? And I just threw that in. And he's just, you know, it was fantastic. But it was also really wonderful because, you know, when he does like Rush Hour or Money Talks or, you know, any of his like, you know, big comedies he does, you know, it's like, you know, he shows up there, he's the man, I don't know, but I assume he has an entourage, you know, and it's like, you know, it's the Chris Tucker show. And he's doing his thing, and God love him, all right? But he didn't want to do that on Jackie Brown. He didn't show up with any entourage. He showed up by himself. He showed up by himself. We picked him up. We drove him to work. And he came down there to work as an actor. All right? He wanted to work as an actor. You know, he was totally doing me a favor because he's like, you know, he'd already blown up and was primed to, like, explode. All right? You know, he had blown up already. He was going to explode after Rush Hour came out. But it's like, you know, he was but, you know, we met each other. We really got along. We really liked each other and everything. And so he liked the part. And so, and he wanted to work with Sam, and he wanted to work with me, and he wanted to do, do a scene, show up and be an actor in a scene, as opposed to be a comedian in a comedy vehicle and everything. And he proved his chops like 100%. I would work with Chris in a New York second.
Talking with lots of people, whether they be critics or, you know, just anybody, a lot of people liked the movie when it came out, but now they go back and watch it, and a lot of people seem to prefer it over Pulp Fiction.
Yes, but there's also, I think there's a little bit of like revisionist history going on with there too. All right, it's like it's one of those movies I think that actors can like I like Jackie Brown more than Pulp Fiction because Jackie Brown is deeper and there's more to it and it's more human and it's more character nuance. All right, which works really good until you see Pulp Fiction. Like, okay, you know what? Forget that. So I mean, I think there is like that kind of thing, or people who never liked Pulp Fiction, all right, can like embrace Jackie Brown. But Jackie Brown was always meant to go. I never had any intention of trying to top Pulp Fiction with Jackie Brown. I wanted to go underneath Pulp Fiction with Jackie Brown. All right, I wasn't trying to blow your mind with Jackie Brown, even though that song didn't blow your mind. I was trying to just dig deeper into character and entrench myself more. It's like the kind of thing, like if I had done, Jackie Brown when I was like 48. Everyone like, oh, look at this mature Tarantino, you know. This is, you know, see, he's maturing in such a, you know, wonderful way as he's getting older. Well, I could do that, well, motherfucker, I could do that shit right after Pulp Fiction. I didn't need to get older to do that. I could do that. All right, you know, next movie, I'll blow your mind again. But I wanted to, but, you know, I wanted to get, you know, really get more into character. And just, you know, more of a, you know, a character piece and create its own rhythms. And Jackie Brown was always, I knew the film, you know, the film didn't cost that much, so I knew it was going to do pretty good no matter what it did, you know, as far, you know, no matter how it did. I wasn't trying to reach Pulp Fiction's grosses and everything like that. So I didn't have to worry about, like, the opening weekend necessarily, so I didn't worry about it. It was like, you know, there's got to be a thing more about, you know, you got to think about your movie longer than just the opening weekend that it plays. You have to think about how's the movie going to play 3 years from now? How's it going to play 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And Jackie Brown, I really set out to do that. I wanted to, you know, it was my Rio Bravo, which is, it's, you know, it's a hangout movie, all right? And Jackie Brown is better the second time. And I think it's even better the third time and the fourth time. All right, keep on going. Because the first time you see it and you like it, but you still have this plot in the way, and you got to, like, you know, figure out what's going on and whatever. And so you're really kind of involved in the plot. Second time you see it, the plot function is gone. You don't have to think about it anymore. And you actually, and maybe even the first time you see it, go, why are we doing all this hanging out? Why don't we get to more of the plot? But now the second time you see it and the third time you see it, you're not thinking about the plot anymore. You're waiting for the hangout scenes. You're waiting for the scenes to, you know, just like hang out with the characters, all right? And so that's why, it gets even more resonance the second time and the third time. And to me, the thing that Rio Bravo did, that, you know, it's like, I remember the very first time I saw Rio Bravo, but I remember more the 15th time I saw Rio Bravo, all right? Because there's a really great storyline going on in Rio Bravo, but it's about hanging out with the characters and watching the movie, you know, John Wayne, Ricky Nelson, Dean Martin in those movies, they become like my friends. And I'm watching, you know, Angie Dickinson, Feathers. You're watching the movie, and you like, it's like you're hanging out with them, like it's your friends. When you put in the tape of Rio Bravo, it's like you're inviting a bunch of friends over. Same thing with Rick Linklater's movie Dazed and Confused. When I watch Dazed and Confused, those are like my friends now, and I'm like, it's like I'm at a party with my friends. And I wanted Jackie Brown to be the same way. You know, you're hanging out with these people, you know, and you're getting to know them not through plot functions. You're not getting to know them because they're slaves to a plot that's working. You're getting to know them the way you get to know people. You know, you're having screwdrivers with Ordell. All right, you're drinking white wine with Jackie. All right, you're taking bong hits with Melanie. All right, you know, it's like, you know, that's it's all, you know, it's all these big hangout moments, and this bar and this couch and, you know, this lounge, and it's, you know, so. Once you get the movie under your belt once and you know the story, then it's just about the characters from that point on. And hopefully, I wanted Jackie Brown to be a gift that could just keep on giving. You know, maybe you could watch it every 3 years, all right? Then it'll be just as fresh as it was the first time and everything, and you know the people even more. Maybe you'll keep watching it, you know, forever, which is the hope. Just to hang out with Jackie and Ordell and Melanie and Lewis and Max again.
Now, Michael Keaton.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit about his character in Jackie Brown.
Yeah.
And then the evolution. How did he get in out of sight?
Well, the whole situation with Nicolette was really, really, Michael Keaton as Nicolette was really, really great. Was, you know, Nicolette's a small character in the book, but he's an important plot function. And he's there. He's a cool character, but he just doesn't have, like, you know, the weight of all the other characters. So it's like, I actually kind of needed an actor who could do me a favor. I actually kind of needed an actor who could, like, show some starshine and make the character, because he doesn't really have the dialogue to do it, doesn't really have the situations to do it, who could bring the pizzazz that he has in the book that Emma Leonard could do in prose, just with their personality, with their body language, with their voice, with their timing. And so there's no 2, 3, 4 ways about it. Michael Keaton did me a favor. All right, you know, by being in Jackie Brown, it was, and he was wonderful. And I remember telling Elmore Leonard no, I didn't tell Elmore Leonard about Michael Keaton. He had heard about it, so I went to talk to him about something. He goes, "My God, Michael Keaton as Nicolette, like, that's fantastic casting. That's great. All right? Because he's always had like a soft spot in his heart for Nicolette, Elmore Leonard. And Elmore Leonard, will like use characters in different books, like other novelists do, Larry McMurtry. I've set up my situation so I can do the same. Normally you can't do that in movies. Like, oh, no, that's a sequel. But I've got a good situation with Miramax. I can do that kind of stuff, all right? And so what happened was he's in, he's a big character in the book Rum Punch. And he's also got a small part in the book Out of Sight. All right, and it just so happened that Jersey Films, that was one of the producers, Stacy Scher, was one of the producers on Pulp Fiction, got the rights to Out of Sight. And so she knew that she was going to do it. And so way before as the script was like still kind of getting written, she was like, well, whoever they knew we were going to do ours first. So they said, but like they were going to do theirs right after. So she goes, oh, whoever you cast as Nicolette, we got to cast as Nicolette. That'll be great. All right. So it was one of those things, again, movie things. We actually own the rights to Nicolette because we did it first. So, like, and they were doing it with, I forget who they did it with, TriStar or somebody. They were going to do it. And it was one of these things where it's like, okay, now it became a thing where, like, okay, Miramax was going to have to lease the rights to, and I, like, could charge them money. And I said, no. They get Nicolette for free. And they go, well, we'll quit. And they go, no. This is bullshit fucking nonsense, all right? This is, it's Elmore Leonard's characters, all right? This is not about making money. This is about, characters organic and free and moving back and forth. And like, no, this ain't about money. This is about, no, you can do it, all right? I refused, just, they can have it, all right? I think it's a cool idea. And it was one of those things, I remember even bumping into, so they did it. And then it was one of those things, I remember, I never thought it was going to make it in the movie. And they were having length problems with their movie too. And Steven Soderbergh was like, it's such a non sequitur scene. So he was like, we got to like lose so many things. And Stacy's really pushing for it, but I don't really know if it's, even before they shot it, I don't know if it can make the final script. Well, it did make the final script. Then we had to not talk Michael into doing it, see if he was interested in doing it. All right. And Stephen literally came down to just look at the Michael Keaton scenes in the editing room of Jackie Brown. So he came down. He didn't see the whole movie. We were editing, so he just showed him the scenes. And it was just one of those things. Michael was kind of game for it, so they did it. And then, like, but it was, again, they did it again thinking maybe it wouldn't make the final cut. But the scene, when they did it in research audiences, just played so well. As soon as he walked in the door, like, oh, wow, hey. The audience reacted so great that, like, there was no way they were going to lose that scene. And I don't really know Steven Soderbergh hardly at all, but he's a pretty nice guy. If I got to know him, I would like him. But it was one of those things where we were like, we were both really enthused about it because, I made it a point when I did Jackie Brown that I wasn't dealing in Quentin's universe. I was dealing in Elmore Leonard's universe, and Nicolette is a part of Elmore Leonard's universe. And the fact that that's the spillover into another Elmore Leonard movie made by a different people, a different studio, all right, with the same actor within a year. Same year. It was the same year, I think, actually. It was the same year or the very next year, all right? I mean it was like within about like a 6 or 7 months of the release. That was so cool, and we were talking about it, and one of the things that was so exciting, like cinema history-wise, for me and Stephen was we don't think it had ever been done before, where, like, especially in a short period of time, one actor played the same role in 2 different movies. Now, it's happened a couple times where, like, Ray Danton played George Raft in the George Raft story, and he also played George Raft in the Legs Diamond, or played Legs Diamond. No. Ray Danton played Legs Diamond in the George Raft story, and he also played Legs Diamond in the Rise and Fall of Legs Diamond. And whatchamacallit, Jimmy Cagney played George M. Cohen in Yankee Doodle Dandy, and he played him also in The Seven Little Foys. But I don't think it was ever a situation where it happened within a year, and it happened for 2 different studios. 2 different conglomerates, all right, managed to put their conglomerate bullshit aside actually and let something artistic happen. So that was really kind of cool. Something organic.
talk Michael into doing the role? He didn't think he was right for the role?
Yeah, well, Michael's whole process is to just like, I don't get this guy, this Nicola. I love the script. He's fantastic. I wish I was old enough to play the Max Cherry part, you know. But, you know, this Nicolette guy, I don't really know about him. I don't know if I get him or not. And so it's like, you know, his whole process was to just convince me he's not right for the role, all right? But he never quite convinced me, all right? And I'm a pretty good convincer when it comes to stuff like that, all right? But he never quite convinced me. I was like, no, I think really you'll be wonderful, all right? But Michael's whole thing is to just kind of deny himself and to say how he's not right. And I just found out later. I found out from his agent that was like, no, Quentin, you don't know about the conversations he had with Tim Burton about Beetlejuice. Like, no, I don't understand this guy. I'm not right for this. Talk to somebody else. Get Robin Williams. I just don't know. I don't have a clue. I don't have a clue. And Michael's whole process is to just say that. And if you're still in there with him, that means you have that much faith in him. Then he's like, well, okay, I guess I got to figure something out, all right? And then he figures it out, all right? And he makes the decisions, and they're perfect, all right? And we actually started shooting with Michael. Michael and Pam were like our first days, and it was that scene, and he's fantastic in that scene. That scene in the interrogation room when he knows the money switch has gone bad, and he's like, so I don't know if it was me. I don't know. I think I'd go shopping later. That scene, all right, that was the first day of shooting. You know, you always like, you know, do bullshit stuff, you know, making coffee or something, you know, montages that you're never going to use on the first day just to get your feet wet. And we did that in the last 2 hours of the first day. All right, that scene's fantastic. And he's like a fucking freight train in that scene.
What do the blaxploitation fans out there think of Jackie Brown?
Well, the fans of blaxploitation films, I think there might be like 3 camps as far as Jackie Brown is concerned. I think there's the fans that kind of love it. It's that kind of movie they've always kind of wanted to see. But then also I think there's another camp that probably doesn't like it, all right, where they just think it's like, I think in particularly a younger audience. I mean, you know, they thought it was too slow. They wanted to see Pam Grier, you know, with a sawed-off shotgun blowing people's heads off. They wanted to see her kicking ass. All right, but then there's the other camp of older people, all right, that love it, just love it. I mean, I've had such, you know, I've talked to people like, oh, Jackie Brown is the shit, all right, and I've talked to people who've like, you know, yeah, no, I like Jackie Brown, but no, you know, I wanted to be more action, I wanted more shit in it, but my mom loved it. All right, you know, so that's what I get a lot, you know, like, you know, their mom and their dads think it was like great, thought it was terrific, you know, but they wanted to see more action, you know, they wanted it to be more like Pulp. Oh, no, well, I think, you know, no, I think everybody loved Pam in the movie. She was just, what's not to love? I mean, she's remarkable in the film. No, she was just great, and she was just very empowering. And I've just got a lot of great, you know, oddly enough, a big contingency of people who just adored the movie, like it was like their favorite movie of the year, or actresses. All right, you know, a lot of women, you know, the actors obviously the women, but I mean the thing is, it's like, but I've had a lot of them like, oh no, that was my favorite movie of the year. It was because, you know, and it was like the way he used her in the film, and you know, I've had a lot of women like just really appreciate that, like, no, we like that you like real women, you appreciate real women, and you show, you present us, you present, real women, not just Barbie doll stick figures. You're presenting these real, real women, and you're adoring them, and it's obvious you love them, all right, and you're presenting them with their best foot forward and everything, so they really like that, the strength and it's great.
Do you think that it's empowering to actresses, because so often women tend to not be the leads, or they fall second to men?
Well, I mean, I think one of the things about it that was like really nice is the fact that one of the things that actresses respond to is like, one, it was the lead role, but two, it's like, like this would have been this horribly bad thing, but if most other people would have done the movie, well, it's very doubtful anybody else besides me, even including a black director, would have gotten the book of Rum Punch and changed the white character to black. All right, that's doubtful. All right, but they would have probably had written it for Michelle Pfeiffer. They would have had Michelle Pfeiffer do it. All right, or somebody like that. And part of the thing is, no, she's older. All right, she's like an older woman. That was a thing about the book. They would have immediately turned the character who was 45 in the book to 35. Well, it's not the same story. It's not the same story, and so I think they liked the fact that I kept the integrity of that I cast an older woman. All right, and then actually do a love story about two older people. When Pam Grier and Robert Forster kiss in the movie, it's like their combined age is over 100. And the thing is, some people love that, and but I've talked to some younger people that didn't like it at all. They're like, no, it's like watching my grandparents kiss. It's like, oh, my parents kiss. That's not sexy. And it's like, well, I didn't make it for you then. All right. But actually, it's funny also about the black audiences, their response, because I watched the film when the film came out. I really kind of made it for black audiences. All right, I made it for everyone else is invited. All right, but I made it for black audience. Like if you make a heavy metal record, you're not making it for everybody. You're making it for heavy metal fans. All right. Well, I was making it for black audiences to go into the theaters and listen to their response. All right, and one of the things, it's like, and I didn't even realize how tunnel vision my vision was. Like for instance, black audiences and white audiences took one scene completely differently. And I was coming from the black audience perspective. I hadn't even realized anyone else would think anything but this. The scene where Robert Forster's waiting for Pam Grier to get let out of jail, all right, and then you see her kind of, walking towards us, and it's like Omar Sharif shot in Lawrence of Arabia, him crossing the desert. First he's like a heat wave, and then a mirage. He's like slowly coming into focus. And I'm giving her that power too. I'm saying this is as important as Omar Sharif crossing the desert in Lawrence of Arabia. And it's actually one of my favorite moments of Pam's performance, actually, is that she's just so in character. She doesn't say a line, but she looks like she just got let out of jail. She's got her sass, and it's just in her walk. It's in her body language, but that's acting too. All right, and she's just so in character. It's great. So I start playing the Delphonics. No, I don't play the Delphonics. I play Natural High. All right, and white audiences watched that and thought, oh, this is like falling in love music. Robert Forster is falling in love. He's hearing this song in his head because he's seeing this woman come to him. Oh, wow, Quentin's being kind of sappy here, actually. He's actually putting in falling in love music with the first time a character sees another character. That ain't in Robert Forster's head. That's me putting that music on there. Black audiences are sitting in the Magic Johnson Theater, and they're watching the movie, and they're seeing Pam Grier walk, towards the camera, all right, as, the music, boom, and the beats of Natural High kick in and everything. And it ain't about what's in Robert Forster's head. It's just they're watching Pam Grier walk into a movie in a big way, and they're hearing like the most soulful, greatest love song of the 70s play. She's walking in time with the music. It ain't about Robert Forster's head or about falling in love. It's just about it's all right with the world. This is a great movie moment. This is just, you could hear it in the theaters. They would just go, ah. It's about, that's what it's about. It wasn't about, I'm, having harps playing, I didn't even realize that anyone would take it that way, all right, until they did. But like, for instance, okay, when the movie played at the Magic Johnson Theater, I had one of these situations where it's like, I saw that movie motherfucking like 13 times at the Magic Johnson Theater, all right. The whole first 4 weeks it was there, I just like lived there, all right. It was playing in one theater here, all right, and I would like just like, hop back and forth, all right. Either watch it all the way through, but at a certain point, as like, the weeks progressed, I would just like watch it, like the key moments to get the key reactions, all right. When Sam has his hands around Pam's neck, and she's like, "Nigga, take your hands away from my throat," all right. There's a gun in his dick, all right. And the audience was just, ah! and they just like applauded and everything. Okay, that worked. Okay, boom, and then I go to the next theater, all right, because it was always a staggered schedule, and I'd wait for the next big moment there. Okay, that one worked. Go over here, let's see how it's playing in this theater. But it was funny to hear like the different reactions. Actually, I think my favorite review of Jackie Brown ever was I have a few different, because if you write a movie for a black audience and you're a director who likes audience, you're trying to play the audience like a symphony and get responses from them. You're gonna get a lot of responses, all right. You might not like every one of them, all right, but like you're gonna get feedback, all right. And I remember it was funny. It was like one of my favorite reviews on Jackie Brown was the opening night that it played. I was there at the Magic Johnson, and then like the whole audience. Okay, it's over. The whole audience spills, all right, into the lobby, and so it's like that weird multiplex kind of thing where like for 5 minutes it's almost like a cattle stampede because there's like it's just a bunch of people bodies like trying to get out this hallway, all right, and everyone that doesn't know I'm going to go this way, I'm going to go that way, so it's just kind of a mess for a second, and so I'm totally amongst the crowd, all right, and there's like a woman, about the same age as Jackie Brown in the movie is over there, and all of a sudden she turns around and sees a friend of hers that she didn't know was in the movie theater. She's like, "Oh, hey, girl, how you doing? You here too? Did you just see Jackie Brown?" She goes, "Yeah." "Wasn't it good?" That's like one of my favorite reviews of the movie, all right? Opening night, a woman the same age as Pam Grier and everything like that went and saw Jackie Brown on the opening night. She could have done anything in the world that night, that she wanted to do. She went and saw Jackie Brown, and her response was, "Wasn't it good?" All right? I remember another night I went down, and I was sitting next to this, it was kind of funny, right? Because it's like they were practically sold out. And there was like this one seat on the aisle, and there's this like young black gal sitting there. And I'm walking down there, and I go, "Is this seat taken?" She goes, "Yeah." All right? And then I start walking, and she recognized me. She goes, No, you can sit." So we sit down in the seat, and we're watching the movie. So I'm kind of watching it with her, all right? We're watching and everything. And it's kind of cool because she's like, the dialogue's going on. She's like, "You wrote that?" I go, "Yeah." You wrote that. And but then we have the money switching scene, all right, where we see the money switching from 3 different perspectives. And so that sequence is over. And so when it was all over with, and it's really kind of cool because it really plays the audience. Because like the first one, it's like Pam switches the money in the back, and then she walks out. All right, and in the black theaters, they didn't do it in Westwood, all right, but in the black theaters, like, "Yeah, I forgot the money. You forgot the money. Go back." They don't know what the fuck's going on, all right. And then you see the second story with Bridget and De Niro, and you see the next story with Max Cherry. All right, so when it was all over, I turned to her and I go, "Did you like that? Did you get that?" And then she said, "Oh, yeah, well, yeah, it's like a Quentin Tarantino movie. You don't know what the fuck's going on until you know what the fuck's going on." And I'm like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." All right, but then like also, but for instance, so there's also the scenes, the scenes with Robert and Pam, all right, and that hit like the end, basically the end love scene, which hit black audiences in different ways, all right. One audience, I'm sitting there, and there's this guy who I was like loving this guy throughout the whole movie because he was really funny, all right, and he was just saying all this like really cool shit. Like I remember when Sam Jackson shoots Robert De Niro, this guy's in there, "Man, that Samuel L. Jackson's a bad motherfucker. He's just a bad motherfucker, man. He don't play." All right, so now it looks like that last scene. It looks like they're gonna kiss, Robert and Sam. Not Robert and Sam. That would have been really got a reaction. All right, Robert and Pam, and it looks like they're gonna kiss, and he's just like, she's starting to walk over to him, and he's like, Nah, just shake that motherfucker's hand, say thank you, and walk out the door. All right, and then they kiss, and he's like, "Oh man, I hate to see that kind of shit. Oh, I hate that shit." All right, another audience, that same scene plays, and you hear this like black woman in there. You know what? Now that's a man. That is a man. So it was hitting everyone in different ways and everything. It was kind of cool. It was cool to watch and cool to observe. Cool to be a part of.